The Heel to Face podcast is here. I'm Jared.
I'm Brandon.
And we've got a lot to talk about, including the biggest show from last weekend. You know what I'm talking about. Impact Wrestling's Hard Justice. Who didn't watch that? And there's a little thing called WrestleMania. But quickly, Brandon, let me ask you this question. Since I last saw you before WrestleMania, do you still have your job?
I certainly do.
So do I, but I know 9 people who do not. We'll talk about that and so much more post-WrestleMania and it's spring cleaning day in the WWE, as this is a Heel to Face podcast.
Fans celebrate with me from Rome to Rochester.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
So another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast coming straight off of WrestleMania weekend, the Raw after WrestleMania, and obviously the big story as of recording, a lot of releases. And it was a long time coming. Thank for all of you who followed along this weekend and watched on YouTube and Twitter. All the posts I put WrestleMania. I did a little post recap, a little intro, I guess, before every single day and other nonsense. But for those who watched, thanks. And we'll hopefully be doing that again. Maybe SummerSlam. I can't wait to get back out there and do more live wrestling stuff for sure. But it was a long time coming for WrestleMania. I want to do a little personal story to start this off.
Actually, I want to cut you off real quick. I just want to say great job on all the clips. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I did a great job while you're down in Florida.
So WrestleMania 2017, I flew into Tampa to catch a spring training game, made sure to drive by Raymond James Stadium, and I thought, now this place should host a WrestleMania. One thing Raymond James Stadium has, is they got a lot of banners for the Bucks all over, and they look great. You can see them from the highway. You can see them from a distance. It's kind of gives you that feel of like when the ballparks have the huge cutouts of the players, and you're like, you know who plays here. And I'd love to see that WrestleMania treatment. And then it was actually in 2019, I was down in Tampa for some spring training when the announcement got made that WrestleMania would be in Tampa, Florida. Fast forward to later 2019, I buy the tickets to WrestleMania. And obviously, we all know then what happened about 2 weeks before the show. It didn't happen. So we fast forward to 2020. Had a little snags about a month ago when it comes to transportation, just for the fact that WrestleMania was only about a month in advance to get this all together.
Sure.
Thursday night, planning to fly out at 6 o'clock, ready to go. Couldn't be more pumped to go. I was actually on my way to the airport to go, and I found out my flight was delayed. No big deal. I went over to my friend's house, hung out, watched some NXT. My flight got delayed again and again, all the way to 10 o'clock. Now, Syracuse's airport is one of the smallest ones around. It is not LaGuardia. It is not. It is not Atlanta. It is not Dallas. It is not any of those airports. So a 10 o'clock flight. I figured I'd get there at 8:30 without any sort of problem, and I show up at 8:30 for a 10 o'clock flight. Already had to tell everybody I'm going to be late, not going to get in until about midnight, but I show up at 8:30. They take my bags and they say, "Hold on a minute, we got to get security to come and grab this. They're hard to find right now." And I said, "Okay, all right." And next thing you know, a group of people who were on my flight come back to the desk at Frontier. And the only reason I'm flying Frontier is because I had credits, and I'm flying into Fort Myers. The only reason is because that's the only place they're flying on this Thursday.
Sure.
So then I can fly there and I'll drive to where I need to go. So some people come back and say, "Hey, the airport's closed." So we asked, is our flight here? And they said, yeah, actually, your flight just arrived. They were having some mechanical issues down in Orlando. They're coming back. But your plane is here, and it is going to be loading at 10 o'clock. No more delays. But the people all with us were saying, we can't get into the actual airport. The TSA are not there. The gate is down. What do we do? TSA were called. The airport manager was called. So I learned this, and I'm not even a business traveler, but maybe this will be nice for you.
Thanks.
TSA keeps their own hours. Different than the airport and the airlines' hours. They technically are supposed to leave at 9 o'clock. They decided to leave today at 8:30. And without TSA, we can't get on a flight. Just not going to happen. There's no way in or out. So essentially, if I was, let's say, in waiting for the flight at 7:30 for a 10 o'clock flight, don't know what I'd be doing at the Syracuse airport for 3-4 hours, but that's essentially what they wanted me to do. But let's pretend I did. And I said, you know what? We got 3-4 hours to kill. Let me go out to the car and get something, or let me go outside and smoke or whatever. I would have been stuck outside and not been let back in.
That's ridiculous.
So essentially, I would have missed the flight even if I got there early and then thought to leave, because who thinks that they leave before flights are gone? I'm not saying that I get it. If the flight leaves in 5 minutes, maybe they can take off. Everyone's in. But the fact of the matter is they left over 2 hours before my flight was scheduled to take off. I had no options. So they said they're not flying to Fort Myers again until Tuesday. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to Fort Myers anyways. Where else are you going? Well, we're going to Tampa on Saturday. Too late. Can't go there. Going to be in town already. Where else? What about Orlando? We're going to Orlando tomorrow morning. All right. Book the flight first thing Friday morning to Orlando. Whatever. We're not done yet.
Oh, wait,
I get home about midnight now. I get home. I call my rental car company and tell them I won't be picking up the car in Fort Myers. I'll now be picking it up in Orlando. They tell me, okay, let me just make that adjustment. And they said, unfortunately, because of such high demand, your rental car price for this weekend is going to go from $120 for the whole weekend to $2,000. And I said, what?
Wow.
$2,000. I should be in the rental car as I'm calling these places. I was supposed to arrive at like 11 o'clock at night, and it's 12:30. Don't know what to do. So I Priceline, other rental car companies, all the same. All the same. 16. I mean, we're talking like $400 a day to rent a car. I do what is it from Uber to Orlando to Tampa? $500. What is it from my hotel to Raymond James Stadium? $60. And obviously the beach is an hour away. That's another, that'll be $100. So we're talking, okay, so this is at least $1,000 route as well.
Yes.
What are we going to do? What are our options here? What can we do? So it took until about 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, here's the option. We're going to go to the airport first thing in the morning. We're going to, because our $120 rental car is still waiting in Fort Myers, Florida. We are going to get a one-way ticket to Fort Myers, Florida. We're going to hope that it's not too expensive. It's going to probably beat $2,000. And that's what we did. We showed up first thing in the morning. My friend who was leaving for WrestleMania, he drove us to the airport. His flight was like at 8 o'clock. So he went to the airport with us. And we got there. They said for United, it's going to be about $250 a person to get on a flight one way to Fort Myers. We forked over $250 a person. We took a one-way flight to Fort Myers. We lost, obviously, our Frontier flight. That's gone. Who cares? They don't go anywhere. So that's gone. And we took we one-way ticketed down to Florida. We got our rental car at about, 11 o'clock in the morning. That was the original price rental car. And we drove it to Tampa. The rest is history. And of course, then there was obviously the rain delay. So WrestleMania, It was really hard to get there this year. It wasn't the easiest WrestleMania I've had before.
I just got to say, travel woes.
Yes.
Wow, dude. You didn't even tell me this. We were texting the last few days. And
Such a long story.
And not a lick of this was even brought up. Not even like bits and pieces. So just to hear that, I'm just glad you got there. And I hope you enjoyed the show.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a real panic in my household that I was not going to WrestleMania.
Oh,
there was a legit, like it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I should be in Florida right now, sleeping in my hotel, getting ready to go to Tampa or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm at my house, not knowing my next step, not knowing if this is possible because WrestleMania is literally a day away and I'm in New York and I don't have a plane and the prices for rental cars. I mean, as much as eating a WrestleMania ticket would have sucked, I mean, $2,000 is a cost.
That's $2,000 to rent a vehicle. That
is a cost. We were looking at at Ubering it to other airports and picking up the car there, and even in like Ubering it to Tampa and then picking up a car there, the prices were the same. It was absurd. Luckily, I got that $120 rental car locked in about a month ago, and for like $30 a day, and flew in.
Not like $300 a day. Oof.
So
wow.
We had it stinks because we already had our checked bags prepaid through Frontier, so we had to repay for a new check. We had to pay for checked bags.
But what are you gonna do at that point? What are you gonna eat? You're not gonna suck it up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna drop $2,000.
Yeah. So we did the best of situation we could, make a best of a bad situation. We got to WrestleMania, and it was a 2-night WrestleMania. It happened. And now we'll talk about some takeaways from WrestleMania. Now, there was some good and then there was some bad. WrestleMania, one thing, obviously, I think the shows went by pretty quick. The first and second shows, it's so strange to me because WrestleMania, I'm used to getting there so early and it's such a big event. Because no pre-show and because of the rain, I only got there about 7:45 each night for the 8 o'clock show.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
normally you're
close.
getting, well, I mean, I obviously I made it planned. I wasn't just pulling into my parking lot. I was like walking into the stadium.
Okay.
I made sure that we like left for the stadium about 7 o'clock. So, you know what I mean?
Give yourself enough leeway. Got it.
I'm saying I'm walking. Yeah. I'm up at the ticket gate at 7:45.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Yeah. So that's the kind of time I gave me. And I would have probably been there earlier, but it was raining both days. So there was no reason I wanted to rush to a stadium and be in soaking wet rain. You know, I can go hang out at a restaurant.
I don't blame you there.
So I think the show's overall went. I don't think I went to the bathroom on either night. I think it just was. I watched more WrestleMania this year than I had before because I didn't miss any matches. Doing something, going to get concessions. The show was so short, and the lines of concessions were essentially very short as well.
Sure.
So I didn't miss anything. Normally I miss a match. Going to the bathroom or something like that. That was good. The negative, I guess, is let's just say the matches. The main event of WrestleMania, the Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Edge match. Thought that was a WrestleMania caliber match. I loved it. It had everything you'd want in a WrestleMania match. I liked the finish. I liked the fact that both Bobby Lashley and Roman retained because you don't get that at WrestleMania. The whole gimmick of WrestleMania is the Royal Rumble winner wins and then they win at WrestleMania.
Sure.
And to kind of keep that integrity going of meaning that it's not a sure thing and to make you want to watch WrestleMania, they like to throw a kink in there.
And here's the thing, both matches were WrestleMania caliber. I thought having Bobby and Roman both win, both those matches separately were fantastic. I thought I loved both of them.
Yeah, and obviously Roman being a heel, it's the first heel since Brock Lesnar won at WrestleMania. And I want to say until Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns a few years ago, that was the first heel since Triple H at WrestleMania 2000. So leaving the show with a heel champion has only been done like 3 times in WrestleMania history.
And I will say, from night one, I was very pleased with the main event. I really did enjoy Sasha and Bianca. And I'm glad Bianca got the title. I'm good to see that. I thought it was great. It was a great moment for them. I saw Bianca. She was very emotional in the beginning because of the situation.
She knew she was going to win.
Well, besides that, the magnitude of it, female wrestlers, main eventing. It was a really cool deal. And here's the thing. They're superstars. It doesn't matter male, female. Mm-hmm. They knocked it out of the park. I will say, in my opinion, I thought overall, top to bottom, I liked night one better.
A lot of people said they like night one over night two. I'll be honest with you. I think I like night two better just because I think night two had the WrestleMania match. Because to be fair, I don't know, other than the main event, if any other matches, to me personally, maybe because I was watching in person versus at home, really felt that really big thing. And I guess the stat I want to look at, the main event was 21 minutes. No other match went over 16 minutes on the card. So 14 matches. One went 21 minutes up, and the main event on night number 2 went 17 minutes. And the Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre match went about 18 minutes. So let me recorrect myself. You have 18, 17, and 21. Those were your longest matches.
And I'm okay with those matches.
At WrestleMania 36 last year, you had 4 matches over the 19-minute mark. At WrestleMania 35, you had 3 matches over the 19-minute mark. And every other one had at least 3 or 2 matches going back at least a couple years all the way to WrestleMania 31. So WrestleMania 32. And these are all the ones with the part-timers. So essentially what I was hoping is the fact that we have less part-timers, we were going to get more wrestling. To make up for the Triple H appearance, we were going to get more, AEW, Ring of Honor. Like, we get less gimmick, more wrestling. But that wasn't necessarily the case because they said the main event only went 21 minutes, which it's strange to think, everyone said it went long. It's a long main event, but actually it wasn't really long at all.
It was perfect length, honestly.
Daniel Bryan and Triple H kicked off WrestleMania 30 at a 27-minute match before later on he went on to the main event, and that was like a 25-minute match.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan that night when he won at 30.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
Last year, Edge and Randy Orton went 38 minutes between each other. And even Rhea Ripley and Charlotte for the women's title of NXT last year went 21 minutes. So that match went the same as this main event. So I guess that was my big gimmick. And I guess the issue is the reason I think of these is because there wasn't a lot of false finishes. The main event had the false finishes, and probably because it's a triple threat and it opens the door for that. But every other match in which a finisher essentially was put on and the earliest the match could end, it ended. There was no, for example, the Shane thing when he got thrown off the cage. That was a cool spot. There was no, he gets up one more time and then he throws him through the cage. There was no,
it wasn't
more. Yeah. Even in the Bianca Sasha match, obviously there's pinfalls, quote unquote, but they're not the finishes that, there's a pinfall early in every match where it goes, Michael Cole goes, and they're the champ. No, there's like the crowd's not even.
Yeah, they all know it's going to be a 2.
Yeah, it's similar to the Undertaker Brock Lesnar pinfall where everyone thought Undertaker was going to win at WrestleMania 30. So every pinfall just has people being like, okay, kick out. Like this isn't the finish.
Oh, no.
Not this time, but most times.
Yes, yeah.
But that was the case with every WrestleMania match this year. You put a finish on, no matter how weak it looked, the match was over. And I think obviously the easiest one we can talk about is to kick off the night 2, Randy Orton and the Fiend, which lasted 4 minutes.
Do you have the time frame on Cesaro, Seth Rollins? What would you?
That went about 11 minutes. Same with
that was pretty tight.
That went between 11 and 15. I don't have it on me right now, but I know it was under 15. I think it was over 11 because I know Shane and Braun went 11, which is again short because of the fact that Shane and Undertaker went 32 minutes in that Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 32. So I guess because it was 2 nights and we had less matches, essentially, I thought these matches would be stretched out. They'd be a little bit longer.
20, 25 apiece, yeah.
Another gripe I guess I have that made it didn't feel like WrestleMania is I understand it's good to not have the part-timers in the ring, but I thought maybe we'd have some part-timers, to kind of interject. Obviously, we had the RVD gimmick backstage, and we had some Hulk Hogan gimmicks backstage.
Hold on, let me pause you there for a second. I love the RVD segment. We talked about
Saw that coming from when Matt Ritter was talking to Kali. I was like, I literally looked over at my girlfriend. I was like, where is RVD? Why are they not doing this with RVD?
This is fantastic, yeah.
But, I guess, what would have been a good gimmick is when Kevin Owens went to stun Logan Paul, if he didn't stun him, and then Stone Cold's music hit, he came out and stunned him. Those kind of things. WrestleMania 32, for example, you had Austin, Michaels, and Mick Foley come out and talk and confront the League of Nations. You had The Rock come out just to announce the attendance. You had John Cena come out, who wasn't on the card then. So, I mean, gimmicks like that to kind of make it feel like WrestleMania. I knew John Cena wasn't going to be there, didn't need The Rock there. But, Shawn Michaels, he's hanging around. Stone Cold, making that announcement for Dallas, he could have done that in person.
Sure. Well, here's what I'll say. I did enjoy Bad Bunny more than I thought I would.
Yes, same.
That was, and I'm just gonna backtrack a few people on that. It was not the best celebrity match of all time. I still put Pat McAfee ahead, but I will say good job on Bad Bunny.
WrestleMania caliber, though, I would definitely say the best WrestleMania celebrity involvement. Which it's funny because I think the worst celebrity WrestleMania involvement belongs to Logan Paul. I mean, what was
the point of him there?
I don't even know.
What was the point? I don't get it.
He was just, we were all watching it just like him. So he just got paid to watch wrestling like we all got paid to watch it.
I wish we got paid for that.
I don't understand his involvement at all. He had they were selling a shirt with him on it that was pretty sweet. It was like an old style shirt that had WrestleMania and like the Roman numerals. What a waste of a person to put it on because I would have bought the shirt if it was like a legit competitor.
It wasn't,
or even it was Bad Bunny for what he put on.
That was awesome.
And that's another thing too. The entrances. Maybe because they don't have the part-timers. Triple H is always one that has an awesome entrance, but no grand entrances. And I know Bad Bunny had a really good entrance, but other than that, the entrances were all the music hits and they come out. And what I mean by that is WrestleMania MetLife Stadium, for example. You have Triple H coming out. They don't play the game music. It's this Mad Max thing, and you're like, who is this for? The entrances in which the video plays, and it takes you a second to realize who it's even for.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's not just their music. Like Triple H, he's had a bunch of them where it's like some sort of storyline, and then when he comes out after the entrance, then his music hits and he walks to the ring.
Well, we did have 2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Wale was there.
Yeah, Wale and New Year's Day did the music. But I guess we're like Drew McIntyre. Like, he just came out straight to his music. It's funny, he did the Braveheart stuff at Fastlane. Should have done the Braveheart stuff here. He should have came out on a horse. He should have had something like that. And cool. Again, not just their music hits, but it should have been like some video package that's unrelated to their entrance. And then they're like Triple H, for example, when he had the Terminator, had the big, long Terminator entrance. And then as he came out as the Terminator, it wasn't until he took off the Terminator, then his music hits.
Bad Bunny's was good, though.
Bad Bunny's was good. It was kind of strange. After WrestleMania night number 2, I don't know if this would be on purpose or what, but his actual tractor trailer was still waiting in the parking lot. And people were like getting on top of it, getting in it, taking pictures. And I think that was kind of strange that you would have thought that as soon as he was done, they just get that thing out of there.
Pack it and go.
But 2 days later, 24 hours later, it's still there and it wasn't even being guarded by security. I'm like, what are people doing? And I saw a security guard come up and walk by and just walked by. And that was... I guess strange because WWE, don't touch this, don't go behind the ropes.
You can't do that. No, you can't do it.
But I don't know if they're leaving it out for photo ops or what, but yeah, it was out there.
That's cool.
But yeah, Bad Bunny, the best entrance, the best celebrity match. Outside of the main event, I want to say the best matches for nights 1 and 2. Bad Bunny night number 1.
Sure.
I'm going to say that women's tag team match for night number 2. I thoroughly enjoyed Natalya and Tamina Snuka versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. That match went about 12 minutes long.
I didn't like it.
I enjoyed that match. I thought it had maybe 1 or 2 false finishes. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it had a decent length. It had, the pinfalls, again, some false finishes. The other matches were just straight, clear cut. Sheamus and Riddle. I mean, as soon as he hit him right in the mouth, boom, that match is over.
See, I honestly, that was, and this is no disrespect to those four ladies in that match. To me, I'm not gonna lie. I think that was the match where I was almost dozing off. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't into it. And it's no disrespect because I enjoy what all women do. All the women do in that match, and I'm like, I wasn't feeling it. Like
I just felt again it had some false finishes. Didn't know who was going to win. I felt the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match. As soon as Kevin Owens put the finisher on, that was over. I mean,
I didn't really care for that match,
think
honestly,
that Kevin Owens was going to lose that match. Yeah, I didn't.
It wasn't. To me, I wasn't excited for the match to begin with.
And talk about a 2-year build here. Kevin Owens talking about jumping off the pirate ship. I understand maybe he didn't get permission to do that, but could have left the ring a little bit, right? Somebody could have went up the entranceway and fought on the entranceway in front of the stage. It's funny because it kind of let itself be that you could have quote unquote jumped out off the pirate ship because there was the entranceway and then the pirate ship on top of it. So you could have took a ladder up to the platform and then jumped off of that through a table, which wouldn't have been much of a fall.
So do you want to do a night 1 grade and a night 2 grade or just a combined grade here?
I'm going to say, I'll get it combined, and I'll say before the main event, I gave WrestleMania a C+, but once the main event hit, and that felt big time. That felt like should have been on the poster. That could have headlined everything, a regular WrestleMania. Had the intrigue, had the false finishes, had the who's going to win this. I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan. I think it's going to be Edge. I can't believe it's Roman Reigns. I bring it up to a B, a solid B.
Wow, that's where I was thinking too. I was thinking B as well. I thought overall it was okay. There was a couple nice moments in there, but overall it wouldn't be on my top list of greatest WrestleManias of all time by any means.
No,
it was what it was. It was a decent show. I enjoyed NXT better. That was just me, but I really enjoyed going back there just a second. I enjoyed Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. I thought that was a good match. Balor, that match was great too. Going to see a new champion with Scarlett, that was cool.
I guess overall WrestleMania, it was just strange because we had the 7 matches each night, and I thought there's got to be something more. We got to throw the Shinsuke, Jeff Hart, the people that were on SmackDown. They're going to be involved somehow. We're going to one of these nights have a pre-show match with these guys in it. There's going to be some big segment. There's going to be the 24/7 belt. What are they going to do with that? That's always something easy to do at WrestleMania to get celebrities and legends involved. No. Nothing. Essentially, backstage, there was nothing. There was no gimmicks like we had in the back where, Ricky Steamboat and Mae Young and Mean Gene were all dancing and Ron Simmons comes in. No, none of that. There was none of that like all these guys together. Obviously, I said we had a few Hall of Fame gimmicks. Sure. If they had the NWO all dress up and come out to the traditional Hall of Fame induction thing. But yeah, I was waiting for Hogan to win the 24/7 belt,
Something cool. I don't know if his hips would allow it though.
But something stupid like that, obviously Gronk winning the 24/7 belt.
Yeah.
That kind of gimmick. That's what I was expecting.
Let me ask you this though, just to go back to I just want to go back to NXT real quick. Did you watch any of that?
Yes, I watched both nights. And they delivered, and again, we've talked about this many times. They show you what the Performance Center can look like. And it looked great, and they had a good crowd there. They incorporated the WrestleMania set off into the corner. It was awesome. They used that as the stage for the musical acts, for the America the Beautiful before the show kicked off.
So I got to ask you this: Do you see Karrion Kross along with Scarlett? Do you see them being a long-term champion there? I put them together. Scarlett's part of the package.
I think until at least the summer.
Yeah, I think in a lot of speculation after Balor drops the belt there, and then they put Karrion Kross over. A lot of people are saying, hey, is Finn going up to the main roster? And Triple H pretty much shot that down pretty much right away. So, I mean, if it were you making the decision on it, would you keep Finn Balor at the NXT level, or would you bring him up to the main roster?
Well, if I was Finn Balor, I'd want to stay at the NXT level. If I'm anybody, I want to stay at the NXT level. Same. I guess obviously the issue is at the main level is what you're going to do with them. We can talk about that for a long, long time.
Sure.
And all the people that they've wasted and screwed up.
Well, we're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. But obviously we start and keeping on WrestleMania. A few more pointers. Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt. Nobody like that. I'm fine with Randy Orton winning. Here's the thing. I'm not against anybody winning any match. In the world of wrestling, It's all about entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't care about any finishes, who wins the match. I do care about the matches themselves, and I think that the match really made Bray look weak, and it's just so ridiculous that you have him come back from fire and all these things. Like Freddy Krueger style, he can't be killed, and within 4 minutes, he's killed. Like this big buildup. It'd be like burying The Undertaker at the 03 Survivor Series, having him come back at WrestleMania 2004 after that big long hiatus. He can't be killed. No one can stop him. He's risen from the dead, and Kane just chokeslams him once and it's over.
Yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic, I guess.
And I'm fine with the end. I'm fine if that he kind of gave in to Alexa Bliss. I guess Alexa Bliss is his muse. Something like that. But I guess it could have been, the match could have lasted longer. Randy Orton could have put a couple.
What did you think of
RKOs on
Alexa with all the drippage and everything going on? What do you think there?
That was
cool.
And a lot of people have kind of indicated with the whole where her legs were crossed, maybe she has some sort of tie-in with Aleister Black. Maybe she is Sister Abigail. But again,
it's going to be
fine with the ending. It should have been he puts the RKO on, tries to pin him, doesn't pin him. Puts the RKO out, go on through a table, tries to pin him, doesn't pin him. And then when it seems like Bray Wyatt is just not going to lose this match, he's going to win because he can't be stopped, then they could have put that gimmick in, and then Randy Orton could have got out of there. But like even The Undertaker, he lost his streak, right? But it took him more than one F5 to do it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the gimmick
They built
here.
it up pretty good.
Yeah. So I guess that's my thing with Bray Wyatt. It should have taken him more than one. They should have given him a few F5s. I can understand he's succumbing to Alexa Bliss in the end, but it should have been more of a challenge for Randy Orton. I mean, this is a storyline that's been built up since, I think, SummerSlam of last year, of Randy Orton, taking on Bray Wyatt in different kinds of matches. Obviously, the Inferno match in December.
Yeah.
So with such a long build, it should have lasted a few more minutes.
Was there any non-title changes or title changes altogether that you were very surprised about?
Apollo Crews definitely surprised me a little bit. He had his, I don't know his name offhand.
Dabba-Kato.
Yes, the guy who was essentially one of Raw Underground's.
He was like their beast.
Beast.
He was like
he beat Braun Strowman.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He was like excuse me for this, but I forget the name, but it was an old Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. He faced like the main guy in the in that I forget the name of it, but it's like
I don't know any Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I mean,
what? You don't know any Jean-Claude
Street
Van
Fighter?
Damme?
I know Street Fighter.
You don't know like Bloodsport?
Okay, I do. I've heard of Bloodsport. Never watched it.
Okay.
I've only probably watched him in Street Fighter.
Street Fighter is a good movie to pick, though, I will say. But no, it was like Dabba-Kato was like the equivalent of who Jean-Claude Van Damme beat in I forget the movie off the top of my head. Kickboxer. That's what it was. It was Kickboxer.
But that was kind of a surprise title change. I thought maybe I again was surprised that more titles were retained. I was happily surprised because I think it really built up. Whoever's going to beat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they got to really build up that tag team.
Well, we need to find a tag team. We do.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm really excited down the line. Are they going to pair like Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch together or something? Because I have a feeling they'll probably drop the ball and have them lose to somebody who's not as good as Natalya and Tamina.
So are you thinking?
But I'm hoping.
Are you suggesting like a Dana Brooke and what's her name again? Mandy Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that?
Because I think Tamina and Natalya are stronger than them. So I think you got to find someone even stronger than them to beat.
You mean Nia and Shayna?
No, I mean, Natalya and Tamina are stronger than Dana Brooke.
Oh, for contendership.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I think they are the second strongest when it comes to physicality. The second strongest tag team in WWE is Natalya and Tamina.
I mean, if they would have went over Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, I would have been fine with it.
Yeah. So I think like you can't now have them lose to Natalya and Tamina and then have like the Riot Squad come in and beat them for the titles.
Yeah, no, overall the women's tag team division is just it's not really good.
It's getting weaker, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as we finish up the show. One nitpick, and this is just me, and this is what you get on this show, and you might not get from other people because they're focused on the wrestling, and I'm focused on the whole experience.
Oh, here we go. He's going to the pyro. No,
the pyro was great.
I love
the fireworks. I think it was more fireworks than pyro. That was great. There was more than enough of that. Thought it was weird, obviously, to save money for television. They only shot it up off on the TV side. You're familiar with, obviously, the WrestleMania video packages where they hype WrestleMania.
Of course.
And they have the drone shot of, like, MetLife Stadium or AT&T.
Yeah.
And it's got the fireworks going all the way around as the show ends. Well, they won't be able to use that for Raymond James because the fireworks never went all the way around.
They went halfway around?
They went halfway around.
The TV side around.
Yes, just the TV side around.
Made sense.
But they put up a lot of banners for WrestleMania, which is great. I understand that the pandemic meant that they probably didn't decorate the town as much as they would. There wasn't as many billboards. I saw one or two. Downtown had a few little things on the light post. That's fine. But they put up like a bunch of banners all over Raymond James Stadium that were of decent size.
Sure.
They had each individual match. You had like Hogan on one, you had Bianca and Sasha on one. That's cool. But I would have liked to see none of those on there. And then 2 banners that just said WrestleMania on the ends of the scoreboard. So the way that the stadium is built, if you've ever seen it, it's only double-deckered on the sidelines, and then on the end zones, it's not double-deckered. It's only single-layered, which means that on the end zones, the image is the scoreboard. So when you're driving up to the stadium and you're driving from the end zones on either side, the scoreboard, and it's huge. And it's a huge billboard on each side. You can see it from the highway. When you're driving down the highway, you see the big Go Bucks right there. So the fact that I'm driving up to the stadium and I see Go Bucks, like literally the biggest image on the stadium is Go Bucks. I talked to somebody who's actually a news reporter down there, and she said, exactly, like, why doesn't it say WrestleMania? You have the WrestleMania poster on this. They put them on like the parking garage across the street. They put them like in smaller areas. They put them like around but again, if you're driving by and you're somebody who lives in Tampa, doesn't know what wrestling is, that would have given off. The Super Bowl, like go back and look at a photo of the Super Bowl and you'll see that they put the Super Bowl banner on those big ends. Those big ends are huge.
And those are attention grabbers, those.
Yeah, it's like AT&T Stadium. On AT&T Stadium, on each end zone, they have the big glass windows.
Yes.
And at WrestleMania 32, they put all the competitors on those glass windows.
Yes, they did.
They put Charlotte and Roman and Brock. So that was your focal point. That's what you can see from the highway. That's your big, like, people are going to know. The way they put the banners just made it seem like if you were at WrestleMania, you kind of picked them off. But if you didn't, it was just, they kind of were like billboards. Billboards at like a minor league stadium where there's just a bunch of stuff and it's just nothing really sticks out. That was this. That, again, they had the money. They probably put as much money into these banners as would they just have one huge one. But one huge one would have been...
It would have been way better.
Like you're familiar with like Michigan's Big House Stadium, right?
Of course.
And they have the big scoreboard on the end. Everything else is just a regular stadium, whatever. But if you've seen it from like a postcard, it's got the big M. Like that's where you want the WrestleMania to be.
Well, yeah,
right there.
It's an eye catcher.
Yes, you want to be driving down by the stadium and like look from a distance and see the huge WrestleMania. You don't want to have to get there, park, and then see like on the parking garage they have like some banners and stuff that says WrestleMania.
Well, it kind of tells me they went a little lazy on it. That's what it
and the
like.
funny thing is WWE knows they went lazy on this because in some of their graphics and some of their intros, like for example, when Bad Bunny was pulling up in his tractor trailer, they photoshopped, like he like pointed ahead at the stadium, like next stop, and they had WrestleMania photoshopped exactly to where on that scoreboard. So they knew that was like the image. They knew that that's the pointing to WrestleMania sign for the fans kind of thing. Like I said, even when they did a commercial for WrestleMania and they did like the intro, they showed Raymond James Stadium as a drone shot. And when they did the drone shot, they photoshopped WrestleMania onto the scoreboard. So they knew that that was the image. They knew that, you know, the image is WrestleMania right there on the scoreboard. That's, again, the equivalent of the fans to be WrestleMania sign to point at. That's the equivalent of when you're driving up to see that. It's the equivalent of the Yankee Stadium on the front of the stadium. You know, it's the equivalent of the dome itself on top of the dome. You know, like the Teflon roof. Yeah. That's what this stadium has. Other than that, it's an NFL stadium.
Well, yeah. Well, think of it this way too. Like, if it was in Syracuse, and you know, for those not familiar with the way the new dome is, the new dome look, the renovations. When you can see the dome from 81, that'd be like the perfect way to put WrestleMania up on something like that. Just so it's like it's almost like a big billboard on it. Yeah, and they dropped the ball in Tampa.
Every stadium has kind of like its big arch.
Exactly.
It's big, like this is its thing.
It's like their signature.
Like I said, Yankee Stadium. Whenever they kick off a game, it's the Yankee Stadium right on the entrance.
It'd be like this. It'd be like if WrestleMania went to Fenway Park, and everybody knows the Green Monster. Yeah. You don't put anything on the Green Monster.
Yeah, but you just put it around somewhere else.
Exactly.
You would have to put it on the Green Monster. That would have to be like your entranceway.
You got it.
Okay, so that's obviously a little complaint. But again,
that's a pretty good complaint because I know how you are. I'm glad the pyro was good for you.
The pyro was good. I like the drones. Okay. I could see the drones. So where my seat was pretty high, so I could see off in the field that they were like setting up the drones. The drones were automatic. They set up and they just like reset, and you could see them flashing, and then you'd see them just fly off into the air and then create images. At the end, they created that WrestleMania thing that waved. When Roman won, they created it for Sasha. They created it for Bianca. They created it for Shane McMahon, the money sign. Bray Wyatt, let me in. So cool. that was kind of cool. And it's cool because obviously we all know that, you know, it's hard, you know, when you watch it on TV, we had to have the conversation back and forth like, what are they doing for television? Obviously, the pyro was only on the TV side.
Yeah.
So you just get scared as time goes on that are they just going to literally give us nothing and everything's just going to be computerized? Am I going to go to a WrestleMania and there's going to be no flyover, but it will be just digitally put in there?
I hope I hope they don't, because it is the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. So
Yes.
I don't think that'll happen. But if it does, that'd be sad, because then it makes you not want to go to the show, because it's just you get the full experience on TV instead of being at the actual venue.
So let's quickly talk about the Raw after WrestleMania. They return to the Thunderdome now at the Yuengling Center, a different look to the Thunderdome. The fans kind of come up on the stage now.
Yeah, USF,
I did drive by the Yuengling Center, so I can tell you that they are not trying to encourage fans to come. They're not trying to make that a spot for fans to get excited and like get pictures. All the trucks had no banners on them. They didn't have any signs like Home of the Thunderdome or anything like that.
Nothing.
They had just a security guard standing by the trucks. There was like a little sign that said WWE staff for the parking lot. But because it is a college campus, it's South Florida University.
Yep.
I think they're trying to keep people away. They're trying to keep it like in-house only.
Low key. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, the trucks all were very blank.
I knew right away it was USF, because like when they showed backstage shots, you can see the logo.
Well, the
of
same in
Bulls.
Tampa. You could see like the Rays logo and like pictures of the players when they were in Tampa. I think in Orlando, you could see the Magic logo.
Yep.
But yeah, so they moved to the Yuengling Center. I guess more people are disliking the Raw after Mania than I am. They wanted more call-ups. They wanted more surprises. The Charlotte Flair doesn't bother me, because we thought Charlotte Flair was going to be introduced into WrestleMania's match. So the fact that she's back in the title picture doesn't surprise us. I thought she'd be in the title picture at Mania.
Which is fine. Who cares?
Yeah,
I mean, it's Charlotte freaking Flair.
The Viking Raiders came out, which was pretty cool.
That was a good return.
And then obviously I thought like the championship match and the number one contendership match were kind of cool, kind of decent. Not too many great surprises, but again, nobody paid to go to this. This wasn't like something that fans were spending an extra night to come to. This was just a television product.
Yeah.
We're still in the Thunderdome era, and knowing what WrestleMania the Raw after WrestleMania was last year, I guess my expectations are just super low until things get back to normal, because of what I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Where we were back at the Performance Center for the Raw after, and I think the big thing was they gave us the Big Show versus Drew McIntyre like taped after WrestleMania, like that whole gimmick they tried doing last year. Which then Drew McIntyre then beat Big Show in a longer match than the one he had at WrestleMania. Which
I will say this: I wasn't that excited for the Raw after Mania. I wasn't really. There wasn't, like you said, there wasn't any really big call ups or anything like that. But for what it was a decent show.
What do you think of Admin Verk as the new voice of Monday Night Raw?
I was going to get to that. I noticed Tom Phillips was not at WrestleMania. Something happened there. I don't know the full report.
His role has been relegated. He is still like a senior announcer, but he's going to do more backstage stuff and more.
Isn't he focused on like 205?
Yes, and he's going to be focused more on 205 Live.
But I do like Adnan Verk. I like him. I think he's a really good broadcaster. I followed him. The whole thing with the whole ESPN deal with him, let's just be honest, he got really screwed over on that one. So I'm glad to see he's back in a good even better platform. And I think WWE got it right. I did see Twitter was really split on it, but I like it.
So I didn't get to listen to much of it because I was watching it on my phone, getting in and off of planes on my way back home from Orlando, from Florida. But for some reason, I was watching on the USA Network, like the app or whatever it is, and it was in Spanish, and there was no way to get around it. I switched channels. I switched like sci-fi. They were all in English. For some reason, USA Network was stuck in Spanish.
Oops.
I don't know if that's just a way that they have it set up because maybe to watch it on the app, you only get the alternative broadcast. You can't get the regular one until you got to go home, whatever. But I guess my issue, I know Admin Verk from ESPN, and my one concern comes from anybody who comes from ESPN. Great announcer, great voice, but it's very tough to acclimate yourself to the WWE. He's a professional. He sounds very professional, but you got to have kind of that gimmick. You got to have that Joey Styles, that Jerry Lawler.
Everyone's getting a little hard. Like a lot of people got hard on him. I thought I saw more thumbs down than thumbs up. I think he's a legit wrestling fan. I mean, he's been around it, so I think wrestling fans. We all know this. Everybody just complains about everything, and then no one's ever happy. So let's give the dude some time. No, I think he'll be fine.
Give him some time, but like I said, it's not him, but it's anybody who comes from the world of regular sport. He is a little too professional, and I just worry that maybe he's going to be a little matter of fact.
He'll get there. He'll get there. I'm not worried about it. He's going to be fine. I've seen his work.
He didn't mispronounce anybody's names. He didn't call anybody Jeff Harvey or any of that kind of stuff, as we saw with Mike Adamo back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
One of the worst that came over from American Gladiators in the world of regular sport.
Yes.
But like I said, you just got to have like a gimmick, or you got to have a good person that gimmicks beside him. I mean, like Corey Graves and Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they're characters. And Michael Cole, it took him a while because he was very a matter of fact for a while because he came from Syracuse University, was a normal producer and broadcaster, so it took him a while to get kind of character-y.
He'll get there. And here's the thing: speaking of the announced teams, what a shakeup, huh?
So now we move on to what we let off the show, the story that actually broke today, and that's, I guess, April 15th is the new spring cleaning day for WWE. I saw the tweet earlier that last year at this time was when people like Zack Ryder left, Drake Maverick left, quote-unquote, came back. That was kind of a gimmick. EC3 left. And good news for Zack Ryder. 1 year to the day, his girlfriend leaves. So they get to join each other maybe in AEW.
And for the folks listening in the United States, it's normally your tax. You got to file your taxes by today. And it's not in the wrestling world. It's, it's the spring cleaning, as you said. And, and there's one name in particular that I'm not happy about, and we texted before. We texted earlier today.
Samoa Joe. He was announcing WrestleMania. Couldn't have been more pumped to be there. Saw him in person. And unfortunately, he was working for WWE on Sunday. I was not. Now we both have that in common.
Yes, and here's the thing. My initial reaction is, what in the hell is WWE doing? There's got to be more to this story, and we're going to hear more, I'm sure, as it comes out. I'm wondering if he won't get cleared medically to wrestle anymore in WWE. That's my first thought.
Or I wonder if he wants to wrestle, and then WWE just says, no, we like you in your new role. We don't want you in that role. And
he did great as a comment. He did great in the commentary.
But yes, he's been announcing for, it seems like an eternity now. I was waiting for him to finally get back in the ring.
I was waiting for him to essentially someone bumps into him at the commentary spot. And then he just screw it, I'm out. Takes the headset off and just starts beating the crap out of somebody.
So, I mean, I guess they probably butted heads on whether he was going to compete again or whether he was just going to be a long-term announcer. So for the time being, he's gone. Chelsea Green, the girlfriend of Zack Ryder, I think fiance now of Zack Ryder, she is gone. Lauren Van Ness is her real name. I remember her from Impact Wrestling. You got Bo Dallas. Anybody who thinks that Bo Dallas is going to slip in and out of Bray Wyatt's character, that's mistaken because Bo Dallas is now gone. Tucker is officially gone, of Otis and Tucker.
Yep.
Apparently he couldn't, him and Otis were a great tag team, and when Otis went on his way, Tucker tried to make his own way, but didn't work out so much for him.
He was
so he gets a short end of the stick of Otis's promotion.
Yeah, he was a tag team specialist.
Yeah, so Otis gets promoted. That means he's essentially gone. Kalisto, I never thought they'd get rid of him just because of the fact that he is that face of, the children. Whenever they have the shows that are like the TVG shows, the Saturday morning WWE shows, the ones that are always heavily edited out.
He was on there.
He was always the face of Superstars and Main Event and all those shows that are on Saturday morning cartoons. Because WWE actually had pretty recently, they had a Saturday morning 30-minute show of wrestling that was heavily, that didn't show any highlights from Raw or SmackDown during the week, was only the Kalistos of the world and had Byron Saxton as the announcer talking about getting slimed and all this other, the Nickelodeon version of wrestling. And he's gone now. I imagine he sold a lot of action figures as well.
Well, and actually a duo. Speaking of the women's tag team division.
Yeah, they broke them up and now they're officially broken up.
Gone.
I guess they can come back together now in some other company.
AEW?
And so maybe, Billy Kay left, and maybe that's good. It was the first one announced, then Peyton Royce, and maybe that's best for both of them. Because frankly, now that they can both go somewhere together, because if one of them left and then the other one was stuck there, it feels like it would just be a matter of time.
Yeah, I feel like we've all heard the story about them from Australia and everything. So, not to say in a bad way, but it's probably, like you said, it's probably good that they both, got their, they cut ties with WWE, or WWE cut ties with them. Do you see them landing in AEW? That's the first spot I'm thinking.
No, if they do, and no disrespect to the Iconics, but I feel like AEW shouldn't go that route. They were not one of the better. They were a good tag team in WWE, gimmick wise. I don't think they're one of the most physical and violent tag teams.
Sure.
And if AEW is really going to go the route of the better wrestling, the more physical product,
then you don't bring them in.
You're not going to bring in the Iconics. The Iconics are the equivalent of, I don't want to say the equivalent like the Miz. Now the Miz is a great wrestler,
sure,
but his gimmick in WWE is I'm the guy who's here, the entertainment.
He's the entertainer. He kind of comes off as that that douchey know-it-all kind of guy. I'm cool with everybody else.
So I guess with these, that'd be like bringing in Carmella or bringing in Rusev's wife, Lana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they never did we say, wow, did you watch that 30-minute match last night where they were like bleeding out their faces?
Yeah.
No, never with those guys. I mean, in the women's division, you had Becky, Charlotte, Sasha. Those were the
Bayley,
workhorses. Yeah. These guys were essentially, if WWE was still in the day of divas where everyone wore dresses and they competed in Santa's Little Helper matches and pools of pudding, the Lanas of the world and the Carmelas would still be there. The Beckys and the Charlottes might not, but they would still be there. They would have fit right in with the quote unquote diva. They're like Candice Michelle. That's what I'd give it to them. No offense, but they're like Candice Michelle, Kelly. That's these guys. Yeah. So AEW, if they brought them in, they would essentially be helping WWE's women's division by WWE's women's division being stronger while they're bringing in the Kellys and the Candice Michelles of the world.
So speaking of AEW, do you see a possible not reunion, but a deal in place for Samoa Joe to go there?
I mean, he would be somebody who you would want to come over there. I think actually who should pick him up right now, if they can. But Ring of Honor and Impact both could use names. Ring of Honor specifically could really use a big name to kind of stay relevant right now. They just launched their own TV network. I don't know the channel. It's a website, and then on this website, there's a bunch of TV channels.
Okay.
It's like Sheer, SHERR. Or Sure, something like that. But it's got an app and a website, and then you go on there, and it's got a bunch of TV channels. The ones that are similar that if you have a smart TV that are like preloaded, like Stadium and Audacity or whatever.
It's like a lower end network. So
it's got all the ones that come with your over the air channels as well. It's got Comet and Laugh TV.
Oh yeah, it's like a basic
and
channel.
Me TV. Yeah, but so they've got their own channel on there called Best on the Planet. And it's Ring of Honor 24 hours a day, including their 500th episode of television coming up real soon. They could use him. Obviously, coming back when they have fans would help. But they could use him even with fans. I mean, they're not just hurting because of no fans, but they're hurting because of things like AEW. Really, AEW and NXT has really made it so that Ring of Honor is hurting. Some other people, I guess, you could definitely see in Ring of Honor. Wesley Blake. Now, you might remember him as being teamed up with Buddy Murphy back in the day. Sure. And he was teamed up with Jason, the one that's teamed up with Shane, Rex or whatever. Come on now.
Oh,
we got some dead air here with Jason Riker.
Oh, Jackson Riker.
That's why, because I said Jason. Yeah. Jackson Riker.
Yeah. He threw me off with that.
I said the wrong thing.
Yeah, Jackson Riker.
Jackson Riker.
I was like, who the hell are you talking about?
When it came out of my mouth, I was like, this is wrong. I that's why I didn't come out with it. I was like, no, that doesn't sound right.
Said that, yeah.
I was like, this doesn't sound right. So Jackson Riker, he was teamed up with him for a little bit in the Forgotten Sons. And that's pretty much all he did in NXT.
Yeah, he was pretty much once the Forgotten Sons kind of went.
And once Buddy Murphy left as well,
Bad news.
That was bad news for him. And the final one, Mickie James, she can join her husband in NWA, Nick Aldis. Maybe she can be his valet, or they can do something there because she's gone. And again, I don't take too much stock in when the legends leave because I just feel like that feels more mutual. I don't feel Mickie James is right now thinking that she was going to get a ton of work. So it's more or less like, hey, as you saw at WrestleMania, we didn't put you on the card. So what would she be doing? I mean, it's dead weight.
She'll be fine.
If she stayed in WWE, they would just, you know what I mean? She's not doing anything.
No, she'll bounce back. She's got a lot of different things that's going on outside of wrestling. She'll be fine.
And you have to remember too, when WWE wants to actually do something again with these people, then they'll bring them back. Like there is no saying that Bo Dallas, Kalisto, and Mickie James will never be in WWE again. They just are not there now. That's the whole independent contractor thing.
Could be a couple years later.
Drake Maverick, look at that whole gimmick. He was back before he was ever gone. Last year. I think that was a gimmick more or less than he ever left. But
yeah, I think so too.
The fact is these people get released. Now, some of these guys, you might not see Tucker ever again. You might not see Chelsea Green ever again. But I feel like Mickie James, she's still got to be inducted in the Hall of Fame someday.
I could see Chelsea Green in Impact.
Yeah, she was in Impact before, so I could see her going back there.
Sure.
I could see her even going to AEW. She's got a little more grit to her. She's a decent women's competitor, maybe with the Alley there.
She could be like the Alley or Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Style.
So I could see her going there as well. But like Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, I really wonder where they end up.
They might be out of wrestling altogether and be models.
But I feel like Impact will take anybody. So Impact would definitely take a chance on them. But
just
who's
for the name,
to say that they'll never come back again?
You never say never in wrestling.
And essentially, I would rather see them gone. If the Iconics are not together, then I guess I would rather see them gone.
Now, before we get out, I got to ask you, did you watch Jericho and Stone Cold on the Broken Skull session, John?
Yes, I saw that on the plane ride. So on the plane itself, that's what I watched. One of the best ones yet, for sure.
I will say it was fantastic, but maybe we'll talk more about it next week. Also, Stone Cold actually went on Jericho's podcast as well. Another good one. Maybe we'll break
I'll
into
have
that
to
next
listen to
week.
that one before we then compare the two.
Sure.
We never got a chance to talk in Jericho wrestling with Mike Tyson as the referee last night in the match that he had on AEW topped 1.2 million viewers. What not having competition can do for you.
And NXT, I think, was close to 900,000.
So
Not bad.
again, it works out for everybody.
Of course,
and
we
it was
called that.
awesome turning on AEW last night, knowing I didn't have to flip the channel. Like, wait, am I going to watch this or what I'm going to watch?
It's perfect.
And same with NXT. I turned the channels on and I was like, this is it. I don't have to
have to
wonder
worry
what's
about-
going on the other one.
You got it.
So it's great for wrestling fans, and obviously they talked about that on the Jericho appearance on the Stone Cold podcast. We'll talk a little more of that, but it's been such a jam-full week. We got to get out of here and save some for next week. So for Brandon, where you can follow him on social media at Icebreaker21, and myself, Jared, at KRockJared on social media. Thanks again for following along before WrestleMania, all WrestleMania weekend long, and now post-WrestleMania as we start the road, not the road to WrestleMania Backlash. That's another story for another day, but just essentially we start the road to getting fans back full time.
I like the sound of that.
The president of WWE, Nick Khan, said this. He said, we're not planning to do any more one-off shows. The next time fans come back, when we're back, it's full time. We're on the road for good. And he said he can't let anything out of the bag right now, but stay tuned.
Sounds exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, so for Brandon again, myself, Jared, we will see you next week when we talk WrestleMania podcast, or we talk Stone Cold podcast, WrestleMania Backlash,
Broken Skull Sessions.
Broken Skull Sessions, AEW, and what else happens. Hey, maybe some more people get released.
We'll see.
The day is young, so before today's over, maybe some more people even get released
You got
during this recording. This has been another edition of the Heel the Face podcast, and we will see you next week.